I think people are obsessed with the Chris Watts case because it's the classic perfect family, the family that has all these wonderful Facebook videos and they look like this happy, loving couple and they're the people next door. And then this horrific crime happens and it's a mass murder and you just think, how did this happen? What made this guy do this? Chris Watts has been referred to by some experts as a family annihilator. He just wanted out. He wanted to be a single guy. He wanted to get rid of the baggage of his wife and children. That's what he saw it as, because I think he's a sociopath with absolutely no remorse. So he didn't see them as people. He just saw them as, you know, things and needed to get rid of them.
He identifies 2 large oil tanks, one that he had put Bella in and one that he had put Celeste in. And then identifies a bald spot in the grass where he had buried Shanann and their unborn child.
Most of these types of people are males in their 30s. A lot of them commit suicide after they kill their families, and he didn't. And I personally don't ever think he had any intention of committing suicide. I think the fact that it came out later that he had been talking to his mistress about the fact that he's in the final stages of divorce, I think he planned on getting rid of his wife somehow. They'd filed for bankruptcy, so there were obviously financial problems. I think it was about money. I think he didn't want to pay her the money. And it really reminds me of the Scott and Laci Peterson case because it's that personality type where he basically looks like the perfect husband and he really thought that everyone was going to believe him. Often guys like this too, like Chris Watts, like Scott Peterson, they have a lot invested in appearing to be the good guy, the nice guy, the good husband. And so they don't want to be discovered. They don't want the dark side and the fact that they're cheating and doing these things to be discovered. So they'll go to any length to cover it up. And a lot of these guys have no history of domestic violence, and they seem like the nice guys, so it's really scary. The question of why women are obsessed with men like Chris Watts is something I've wondered about for a long time. Every time I read about prison pen pals and things like this in general, I think there's an element of wanting to experience danger, maybe, in a way that feels safe. I think some women have this fantasy that this guy who's such a terrible person is going to turn into this wonderful guy for them. It goes back to women were obsessed with Charles Manson and Scott Peterson. Ted Bundy had groupies. So it's something that's been going on for a long time. I think that Chris Watts would have confessed because he made a lot of mistakes early on. Also, his behavior was extremely odd, and I know that that's not enough to convict someone on, but it is enough to alert the police that they need to be looking at this guy. I saw the interview that he did with the local television station, and this is after his wife is gone missing and he's supposed to be pleading for public information. It was immediately suspicious. First of all, he had no emotion. He was completely flat the entire time. He just literally didn't change expression. He also referred to, I believe, one of his daughters in the past tense. He used distancing language. He talked about, you know, the kids. He didn't use their names. It just seemed incredibly impersonal, and he was just kind of standing there, and the only time that he got emotional at all is when he was talking about himself and what he had gone through. Literally, the only moment that he showed any emotion, it was like looking into the eyes of like a dead shark. I really believe that he's very narcissistic and thought that he was going to get away with it. He didn't understand how strange his behavior looked to others. He probably thought he was convincing. I noticed that the journalists were asking questions. Some of them were very frustrating because this is an opportunity for the media to actually get real information out of him if he doesn't talk to the cops later. And they were asking him things like, "Where'd you get your t-shirt?" And it was very frustrating for me because I just wanted to, as an investigator with also the journalism background, I wanted them to ask him what time he left the house, when was the last time he saw her. I wanted them to get those details. I don't think he feels any remorse at all. In fact, I think the only person he feels sorry for is himself in this whole thing.
It felt like it was just like an anger with Shanann, with everything, that I was just taking it out on everybody that was in front of me that morning. Right now I'd have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and what might be a 1-month-old son. A beautiful wife. Just like, right now it's just me.
I read that he was talking to a lawyer about an appeal, and he was actually complaining because he doesn't have enough money to file the appeal. Literally, no matter what horrific things that this personality type does, they're always going to be the victim. They're always going to feel sorry for themselves.